So last night I had a second dream. The second dream, I was with a group of people, and this group of people we could transport to different places, but for some reason, it was like the group only wanted to transport to like apartments, like what they thought was abandoned apartments by like elite, wealthy people. Stay there for a day or two and then go. And usually we could feel when people were about to come or come back home and we could transport ourselves out. I noticed that we never ate while we were there. We only stood there for shelter and rest. So we transported to another place that was small. And the people there were like, in my group, were like, we should stay here for a while. They were like, you know what? I'm starting to get hungry. And I said, we don't need to eat. I said, we'll be fine. They were like, I don't know. They're like, ever since we transported here, I'm starting to feel hungry now. I'm starting to smell food. And I kept trying to convince them to transport somewhere else, like somewhere that had running water, like, streams and rivers and where we could grow stuff. And they were like, no, that seems like a lot of work. Let's just stay here. It has food, it has electricity. And I said, yeah, but I said, this is not good. And then all of a sudden, like, the people in my group, they were like, they started like eating, and other people were like kind of looking like, and they were like, no, this food is good, like eat, eat. And I was like, guys, I don't know if we should be eating this food. So all of a sudden, like Thin Mints came out of nowhere, and I love Thin Mints. And I mean, the taste of the chocolate was the best tasting chocolate, and the mint, it was so creamy and delicious. I remember just eating it and feeling like I was like above the clouds, and something kept telling me not to eat it, and I was just stuffing my mouth with them. And then I saw french fries because I love french fries too, and I was stuffing my mouth with french fries and stuff. And then we heard like a someone at the door, and we said, well, what time is it? How do we not, like, usually we could tell when somebody's coming. So we tried to transport ourselves. Our abilities were gone. And at that moment I said, was it the food? Like, we couldn't do the things. We were trying to hear each other, tell each other, like, so we wouldn't have to talk, so people wouldn't hear us. We couldn't even talk to each other anymore with our minds. We couldn't do anything that we used to be able to do by eating this food in this apartment. So the people that came in, we tried to hide, but of course we couldn't because it was such a small apartment. They were like these real thug guys, and they were talking, like how, a lot of people, that live that street life talk. And they were like, oh no, it's cool, you guys could be here, da da da, yeah, eat the food, and this one guy, I remember this one symbol on his face. He had like a trident, like like what Poseidon has. He had a trident on his face, and I thought that was very unusual that he would have such a symbol like that on his face. And he was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You could tell by their face that they had lived like a really hard life, grew up on the streets and stuff like that. So I was just eating and eating. And this one guy that was just standing in the corner, that was supposed to be his bodyguard, he was telling me that I needed to stop eating. But I thought he meant because, you're in somebody's house, you shouldn't overeat. But then it was like he was basically telling me, like, no, don't eat this food. And the guy came over and he got mad, and he was like, nah, he just playing with you. He was like, eat the food, da da da. And I was like, you know what? I said, I'm eating it, but I'm just not full. And I said, I noticed that I'm gaining weight, but yet I'm not full. And I said, just I don't feel right no more. I said, my body just feels off. And I said, even my face, my skin just doesn't look right. So I started wrapping up the food, and he was like, I said, eat the food. And he started like really getting nasty with me. I said, I don't want it. And I was like, I'll put it in the refrigerator. I said, somebody else can have it, but I don't want it. So, like, all my people, when I looked around, like, my eyes were open. They were like eating off the floor like animals. Like the people that were once my people, that were like being able to transport and we could talk to each other through our minds, they were eating food off the floor, like just licking off the floor like animals. Like, it was like the weirdest thing. So, like, the guy, he was like, he called his friends. He said, let's take her to the back bedroom. He said, she don't want to eat the food, then we're going to do something else. So I became fearful in that moment, but something was like, do not fear. And when they opened the door, at first I didn't see, but then I saw like a big TV, and the group of guys that had brought me into the back room, I saw on the TV that they had signed a contract. They were a group, they were a rap group, and they had signed a contract. And I saw their concert, and their concert people were screaming and wailing, and I could see these like shadows, like going through the crowds and going in through people, and it was like red, and just chaos broke out. And I looked up at them and I said, "What have you guys done? What have you guys done?" And then I heard my two older children, "Mommy." And I looked, and my two older kids were there in the corner, afraid. And I said, "Oh, hell no." And my other two younger kids came out the closet, and I said, "What are my kids doing here? What's going on?" But the guys were just at the door, like they didn't come in, they were just stuck at the door. So I kneeled down and I started speaking in this language, like it was like, I don't know this, but I could understand what I was saying. I started like praying. And I told my kids, I said, I hugged them. I said, "You're all going to be fine." I said, "But you're going somewhere else right now." I said, "Mommy will come with you, but I said, I will no longer be in this form when you see me." And my daughter said, "I understand." My son said, "I know, Mommy. I understand." I said, "Watch after the two younger ones." And all of a sudden, this illuminating light came through there, like from their feet on up, not the ground, but from their feet on up. It was kind of almost like this bluish white flame, but it wasn't. So it came up through them. And once it reached over their head, another light came down that looked like theirs. And they went up. And then I kneeled down one more time and I prayed a prayer about getting my abilities back, and about being like truly like sorry, like a heartfelt, about how I was so sorry that I did not, do the things I was supposed to do. And all of a sudden my abilities came back, but they were like 10 times. And the guys at the door, it was like now they were about to start coming in. And I said, "No, you will not hurt nobody else ever again." And I looked over at them and I said, "What in the world?" All of a sudden they looked like warthogs. They started like like gnashing their teeth, and I was like, their looks started changing. And I took my fist and I hit my fist into the ground, and I stood up, and I had this like bluish white gown on, and my hair was stark white, and the whole building started shaking and collapsing on them. And I looked out, because then like half of the building wall fell down, and I could see out, into like the world, and I could see volcanoes starting to spit up lava, you know. And all of a sudden I said, "It is done. It has started." This hand reached down to like grab me up, and as I went up, I had like ability to like fly, if you will, levitate. And as I went up, the hand became smaller, and the person became like now my size instead of being like gigantic. And they said, "This is the abilities that we're able to do. We can go from big to small." And I was like, "Wow." And I said to the person, I said, "Are you?" And he said, "No, I am not he. If you ever look at his face, you will surely die." He said, "But I'm the closest to him." And I said, "Brother?" I said, "Or should I be more respectful and call you Jesus?" He said, he laughed and he smiled. He said, "Brother is fine, sister." He said, "Let us go." And all of a sudden we were just soaring in the clouds, and we just went up and up into the clouds. And I felt this peace, and we were just laughing and talking with each other. And I said, "Are my children?" He said, "Your children are fine." And we just kept soaring. And when I woke up, I felt good. I felt rejuvenated. It was like the oddest feeling ever.